Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. This is one of the main events of the TAP year as we record on the 30th of January 2025 for the Dublin Racing Festival, day one, TAP 90. We've made it, Deck, after about 100 million direct messages when we were recording, but we have gotten there, and we do very much appreciate all your messages. And look, it means that we're doing the right thing. But Deck, how are you? Are you ready for probably one of my favourite weekends racing in the whole calendar?
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to the weekend, but I'm mostly looking forward to hearing your thoughts tonight, Andy, because the big weekends are yours. You always deliver on the big weekends. I'm a kind of any old Saturday at Ferry House kind of man. Maybe the odd midweek meeting, but you come to the forum on the big weekends, and there's some of them usually picked out weeks, if not months beforehand. So I'm with the listeners here, looking forward to your thoughts.
You probably know half my thoughts anyway, so we haven't stopped WhatsApping you the last 2 weeks of my thoughts. But thoroughly excited, and a couple of big outsiders that we're going to give a shout out to, especially on day one. I think there's definitely a little bit of value to be had if you look at Bar and beyond. Just I suppose a little shout out to Jack on X and Ginger Joe for having us, and obviously the Ginger Joe Racing Show and the lads for having us on during this week, because you would have gotten a few of our thoughts on the Dublin Racing Festival, but not all of them, and that's why you're still here.
Look, I really enjoyed the 2 nights with the guys. They're really nice fellas, and it was great. And it was they were our preps, where we kind of just hacked around out the back.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe came home well one of the nights.
Nearest
finish.
That's it. Yeah, the tongue tie and G piece have gone on here. Now that's really
and we're open trip.
Yeah, open trip for 2 brilliant podcasts. They're going to come out back to back. TAP 90 obviously covering Saturday day 1, TAP 91 covering Sunday day 2. Right, let's get straight into this then, Deck, because we've got a lot of racing to cover. The Nathaniel Lacey's and Partners Solicitors Novice Hurdle Grade 1, 1:15 on Saturday, better known as the Golden Signet Novices Hurdle. When it became a Grade 1, the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners name, I think, came on it, but it was the Golden Signet for a long time, obviously named after the extremely impressive Supreme Novices Hurdle winner from yesteryear. Right, Deck, 12 runners declared here. It's headed by Final Demand, who could not have been more impressive at Limerick over Christmas time. Again, that Limerick form, instant Limerick klaxon, as we've been talking about that over the last few podcasts. Willie Mullins, as usual, has carpet bombed this race with Jasmine DeVoe, Joystick, Sounds Victorious, and Super Sunday. So I think it's 5 of the 12 for Willie. But no real standout novice. I suppose you could argue that maybe it will be Final Demand, but we haven't seen enough of Final Demand, and that's why I'm keen to kind of take him on here. This race does kind of favour experience. So before I talk a little bit more about that, Deck, I think you kind of agreed, but who do you like here for the Golden Signet, we'll call it?
Yeah, look, I do agree on Final Demand, and I just said before you come on, like it's probably not a vintage crop of novices, but like we were spoiled last year with the Juvenile, so you can't have it every year. The Final Demand, as you said, was so impressive at Limerick, and you remind me, you actually stopped call mid-conversation to say, what is that thing up in the telly? And look, it was visually impressive. It wasn't only visually impressive, but the form is strong, because Timmy Tuesday and Will the Wise have come out and won. Timmy Tuesday went to Ireland, Will the Wise didn't go up just town or Ferry House. Timmy Tuesday wasn't the most straightforward when he was younger, and it looks like they've got him right. So you probably upgrade the performance again in the Final Demand. His point-to-point form is probably a little bit iffy, but you don't need to worry about that when it's working out on the track. But in saying that, you haven't drilled into me that this is a race that suits experience, or you need experience in this race, and that he might be a little bit vulnerable. He's probably going to learn an awful lot in this race. Like second start on the track into what you call it, a staying Grade 1 for novices.
You would, yeah, because it lends itself to the Albert Bartlett and 3 mile hurdles in the springtime, doesn't it? So
it's so. Look, it will be tough for him. So yeah, I'll try to take him on and try to find a bit of value for the listeners. I was really, really warming to Blue Devassi all week, and I really convinced myself last night in Ginger Joe show, and might have even convinced you a little bit when I was talking.
You weren't off. You thought that not being
No,
involved?
it's not. But he hasn't been declared. So I'll side with Mozzie's sister. She was second to the big Westerner at Limerick. She did reverse the form with Flora in the Park. You could say she's improving. She's a half length second to Familiar Dreams in a bumper at Punchestown. Now, Familiar Dreams might have paid the pace with trying to go with Maureen the other day. She went to the States and ran on the flat, which is a bit odd. She was well beaten, but she's probably a nice enough horse, Familiar Dreams. She's been bought by Guitardi Racing, is it? Or
Guitar Racing, yeah.
Look, Declan Quealy's a man in form, and everyone's saying that Henry and Gordon aren't turning up here. Are we relying on Declan Quealy to take it to Willie, because he is building himself a really nice stable there, and he's got some really, really nice horses. This won't be the first mention he gets tonight, but look, it's probably a tough race for mares as well. I know Jatara didn't have the best times last year, but Rachel did lose her orange as well, so I might be being a little bit harsh on her.
Let's Dance won it, but it was the final year where it wasn't a grade 1.
Right.
I believe, 2017.
Okay. Or Mozzie's sister's worst run was probably on soft at Navan. We're going to get yielding to soft Leopardstown ground, which it'll be decent ground. Will he be probably complaining, looking for the hose out now at that, even though all the rain we've had. But look, I think Shamir could run a big race here if you fancy taking on the favourite. But as you said, the favourite's probably the best of all the novices we've seen in Ireland. But we're not just going to go and tip up favourites.
No, not tonight. Well, later on, maybe later on.
Look, there'll always be a time, but look, he might be worth taking on with his lack of experience. So, if he is going to falter, I think Mozzie's sister could run a big race.
Yeah, and we've already seen Declan Quealy take handicap marks and set them ablaze already this season. Like, he could have won a Pretemps qualifier off 130 with Rocky's Diamond. Instead, he decided to go brave and go for the grade 1 option. So you can see Mozzie's sister there with a rating of 127. Look, Declan could care less about that mare's rating, and to be honest, the owner probably could as well, because it's important for the mares, to get that rating up and get their black type. So, very sporting entry. Fair play to them. Like, they could have probably came. Like, I wouldn't have imagined Mozzie's sister would have had any issues coming back down and trip to that 2 mile 2 and taking on the mare's handicap on the Sunday. Would have definitely been an option which they would have considered. Despite her maybe being this good at this trip, if they think she's up to grade 1 class, she probably could have coped with the step back and trip. So, significant enough that she does come here, and best of luck to them. Final demand deck. Look, I'm of the opinion here that if he can go and win this, given his lack of experience, he probably wins the lot. He'll win whatever he pleases at Cheltenham or Aintree or Punchestown or wherever, and he'll probably be the novice chaser that sets the standard before they jump a fence next season. He was so impressive in that novice hurdle. Now, he was getting a little bit of weight off Will the Wise given the conditions, but it didn't matter a tad. He would be hammering him anyway. So look, it'd be great to see him go and win impressively, but this race, as I said, there is evidence that it favours experienced horses, and there's 2 in here that I did quite like. I suppose Jasmine Defoe, will the first time pieces maybe help him jump? Probably not. But anyway, so
I think it's Jesus he needs now, no?
He needs a divine intervention to help him jump hurdles. More on novices struggling jumping hurdles later. So the first horse I'm going to highlight is the first 50 to 1 shot that I popped up in the title. It's Joystick. And it's not because Danny Mullins is riding it, and I know everyone was.
As I said to you today, I think you're being trolled here, because it doesn't look like now he'll get this trip in a horse box, and you finally made up your mind, and we discussed it last night, that he won't get the trip. Willie goes and puts Danny on just to lure you back in.
Yeah, just to lure me back. Yeah, getting it's almost like a.
Where do you go? Get back here.
But he's caught the fishing rod. He's like, great, get Danny and get him back on. Look, there is evidence to suggest that maybe this horse would have been more comfortable at 2 miles, and it was possibly a last minute decision, because the betting last night and throughout the week, he was drifting like a barge for the Golden Signet, was coming in for the 2 mile race, and I'd say it was a last minute switch. Impressive enough last time out and beating Honesty Policy, who I think is a very nice horse at Nice last time out. Form has been fair, like it's been fair at best. Coral River obviously finishing 11th has gone out and won the Gowran Maiden. Probably fair to say Coral River didn't run his race that day at Nice, but it's still better than I know tailing off at Gowran, I suppose. He won a 2.5 mile bumper last year at Christmas time at Leopardstown, and he didn't really run his race thereafter. In the what was it? I think it was the grade 2, wasn't it, behind Jerovan Mashin, where he tried to make all the running. I think the more rain that falls for Joystick, the better. And I imagine they're going to use positive tactics on him because he's always been ridden prominently in all his races. So it's a matter of if he can get an easy time in front. Now, last year it was pretty obvious.
Is he sacrificed to make the running? Is he?
He could be the sacrificial lamb, but I think he has enough talent to kind of keep going. And as you already mentioned, Dec, like, it's a muddled picture this year with the novices.
Yeah.
And I've already said I can see a maiden or, you know, a 33-1 plus shot winning at the Cheltenham Festival in a maiden. I could see a horse that's just turned up off the boat from France, rocking up in the Supreme Novices or the Alba Bartler or the Baring Bingham, and
really
you can see something. Yeah, and you could see a maiden win the bumper or the champion bumper as well. Like, yeah, Willie probably doesn't even know the horse exists, but I can see that happening in Cheltenham this year, and I think Joystick needs to be considered at a big price because he did it well on his second start. The staying, what you talked about with the staying ability is that was kind of highlighted behind St James's Gate, but maybe the horse just needed to run. I am a little bit worried about his stamina, but I still don't think there's enough evidence because he's still a young enough horse. He does have that good bit more experience in bumpers as well, as opposed to Final Demand. So at 50-1, I'm comfortable to find out. And then the one I'm going to have a good pop at is Sounds Victorious for Shan O'Keefe. This horse is just cut from the same cloth really as your Manila Cocooners or Dancing Cities last year. Plenty of experience under, on a CV already. A really good fourth in the champion bumper. So even though he's looked as slow as no boat over hurdles, you can't be that slow if you finish fourth in the champion bumper. And I think the horse he beat Come Walk With Me last time out at Ferry House, that's a horse you're going to be hearing quite a lot about. I think he's a much better horse than people are giving him credit for. So I'm going to take those Willie Mullins duos at about 7-1 and 50-1, respectively. I'm going to take them instead of Final Demand. So I'm going to hedge my bets back both of them, Dec, and it's Mozzie's sister for yourself, is it?
It's Mozzie's sister. Look, to be honest, Andy, at 50-1,
can't knock, can you?
I can't not have a couple of euro on it. You know?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about him for the best part of 2 weeks.
A couple of euro win only on them at that price. Like, you're absolutely kicking yourself now if you won.
Yeah. What would you do if he jumps the second last and Danny Mullins looks between his legs? Where is everyone? Oh, that one's left there.
Throw myself off that balcony. No, I do think Final Demand is the most. He's the best horse in the race, I'd say.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, we're gonna take it. We're gonna take a stab at it. We're gonna try to take him on. So yeah, be Mozzie's sister, plenty of experience, tough enough mare, and as you said, they'll want black type.
Yeah, and very last thing I'll say about Final Demand: if he's beat here but has only beaten a few lengths, don't be put off him at Cheltenham. That's all I'll say, because you back him. Yeah, just there's a lot to be said for experience in this race, and that's what might catch him out. Right, the 150 Dec, the Gannon City Recovery and Recycling Services Juvenile Hurdle. So you were talking about how good the juveniles were this year. It's one of the cloudiest pictures we have, especially over this side of the RC.
That's because the only time we seen them was at Leopardstown at Christmas, and it was cloudy.
You couldn't see it. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Look, it looks a bit more clear cut in the UK, obviously, with East India Dock and Lulamba. East India Dock with the former there, I was really impressed with on Saturday. But look, you can never discount the Irish juveniles. This race has, been the source of the Triumph Hurdle winner more times than you can imagine. And it's 7-4 joint favourites by the looks at the minute, depending on where you look, with St. Lucie and Hello Neighbour in a first-time hood. So, Dec, they're the two setting the market, but it's a strong field of eight. And to be brutally honest with you, you can nearly make a case for all of them. So, who do you like?
Yeah, well, Declan Queally could be from two after this.
I have a Declan Queally appreciation podcast in the near future.
It would be funny if he was 2 from 2 after the first two races, after all we've heard this week about, no competition for Willie winning all the grade ones.
Declan said today,
still nothing up.
Reversing the car in for trophies. Look, we were talking about him setting handicap marks on fire, but surely 120. They're not going to do that here, are they? This horse could have the Boodles maybe at his mercy.
Yeah, geez, was some money for him. There was some money for him the last day. They knew he was good.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, there was a lot of money for him. Look, as I said during the week, I don't have an awful lot to say on Hello Neighbour and Lady de Vega. Not only have they only ran once over hurdles, and it's also the fact that I couldn't see much that day. It was in the fog, so I'm not gonna try bullshit anyone. But I was at Punchestown on New Year's Eve when St. Lucie won, and I was just impressed visually, with everything about it. And you did get that nice horse moment, and Willie seems to have been surprised by the performance, and he was quite taken by her as well. And you need to listen to Willie when he's that bullish, because he's not. He mightn't always say what he's thinking or know exactly what he's thinking to say it, and people might slag him off about it, but he doesn't get that bullish about horses. He's a bit of a glint in his eye now since that performance, and I was very taken by her as well. I know the form's been let down a little bit. You had Lukey's Tippler or something behind, been beaten since, and the horse in fourth I think has been beaten, but she was way clear of them, and she was good. She was very, very good. So I'll go with St. Lucie here.
Okay, St. Lucie for Deck. Yeah, look, I was up at Leopardstown on Stephen's Day, or Boxing Day for our English listeners.
Stephen's Day.
And yeah, you couldn't see a thing. You could see the telly, I suppose, but and you could see that, what I could see is that Lady Vega Allen was definitely the best jumper in that field that day. And she was probably just that little bit out of her ground, and I think that's what cost her against Hello Neighbour. The pace held up. Hello Neighbour made two significant errors at the last two hurdles. Or he definitely made a mistake at the last one. And I'd say he gave himself a harder race than Gavin would have liked to hold off Lady Vega Allen. He did extremely well to hold her off, I thought. But at 7-4, that was a hard enough race now, and I think he's best watched at that price. I think Lady Vega Allen's a good chance of reversing the form. I take what you say about St. Lucie. It was impressive. 2-1. I'm happy to let her win at that price. But it was obviously a very good run. Declan Quealy's horse, I should really have looked this up before recording.
Bacallion, is it?
Bacallion, yeah, we'll go with Bacallion. I butchered it. I'm sorry, Declan. Please forgive me. Look, I said a mark of 120. They knew he was good, and again, we've already talked about Declan Quealy, obliterating handicap marks. They don't seem to care, but this horse, I think, could be a force in the Boodles if he has a quiet run here. I don't think he is, though. I think they're going to have a good go. Sonny Bill, Danny Mullins aboard. Looked like he's going to be the pace angle again. He brought them along in the grade 2 last time out. Didn't jump particularly well, but stayed on pretty well. You could expect an improved performance there. Woody Dwell just isn't well. It'd be kind of funny if he went and won this 33-1 just to see the reaction, but it's hard to make it. He's probably the only one where he's kind of hard to make a case for out of this field of 8. And then that leaves me with Wendrock and Galileo Dame. That tends to be one of the stronger juvenile hurdles ran during the season. It didn't look as strong this year form-wise. Obviously, the 3rd and 4th have struggled. The 3rd was 3rd again, and the 4th was well beaten. Galileo Dame, I imagine, is going to be ridden cold, and she'll probably jump all right, because when she was out and around in front, she jumped poorly and pulled very, very hard. But it's the fact that she pulled so hard would put me off her. And I think I'm leaning towards a little each way bet on Wendrock, because he's around 16 or 20-1. Big, beautiful, dark grey. He'd be lighter in time, I'd say, but really, has a real presence about him. Was well on top of the line after Galileo Dame did a lot wrong, but he took a little bit of time to pull up, and I think he came on first to second run when he was beaten by Total Luck. He's came on quite nicely, and I'd expect him to run a nice enough race. And at 20-1, I'd take a little each way bet on him. Obviously, they mightn't be able to resist themselves, and this could be the last run before the Boodles. But I think he's a nice enough horse now, and I'd be happy to have a little each way bet on him. But this would be a race that I'd be keeping my powder relatively dry. So Wendrock, small bet each way for myself, Deck, and then for you it is Saint Lucy. Sound like
I
you're
do,
bullish on her.
I do like St. Lucy. Just purely by what I see, and just, you know, I always say, if you've seen something at the races and you like it, just trust it and stick with it. And even if you get let down a couple of times, if you believe you've seen something, stick with it. It'll come good. Like, you know, trust your eye. So, she definitely had that good horse moment.
Yeah, and if something beats St. Lucy, follow the winner, because and trust yourself. That's
exactly. And you know, maybe just do the Declan Queally double.
Well, it could be a Declan Queally Yankee or Super Yankee. He's quite a few runners. So anyway, the 225 Deck, the race and stay at Leopardstown handicap hurdle over 3 miles, and this is where we introduce our second 50 to 1 shot. But before we get to that, we have the small matter of meeting of the waters, who you said is claiming Eugene O'Sullivan for this race in a text message. Well, so in here off 112. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this horse ran by Eugene O'Sullivan, and he was sold to Willie, and he's never ran in another hurdle race for Willie. So he's basically been handicapped by Eugene O'Sullivan, and the handicapper can't do anything about it. Now, no disrespect to Eugene O'Sullivan, I think he's a fine handler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Willie Muller will improve a horse no matter who trained it previously. No matter who trained it, he will improve a horse. So the horse is now rated 148 over fences. What would he be rated if Willie trained him over hurdles? 130?
You give or take, would you'd be expecting, and yeah, what I said there, claimed by Eugene O'Sullivan, I wasn't trying to disrespect that. That's Cheltenham Festival winning trainer Eugene O'Sullivan. So,
but the most important thing to remember is the horse he has been handicapped by Eugene O'Sullivan.
He has
never ran over hurdles for Willie. So if you're kind of scoffing at it, it's actually, the more I was kind of ignoring him all week, and can't have him. Maybe he's just not as good a hurdler. Like, he's probably not as good a hurdler. I was like, there is a lot of pounds in the difference now, but
Willie did it with Total Recall as well, didn't he?
He did it with Total Recall.
He was handicapped by Sandra Hughes.
There was 24 pounds, I think, that there in between it. So, and it was the very same race.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until today the penny dropped and I texted him. I was like, oh my God. He's claiming Eugene here. So, look, you know, when you think about it logically, it's very hard not to see him not winning, really. But you know, we're gonna try to take him on anyway, and there's a good chance. It could be 1-1 between Willie and Queally coming in here, and this could be the decider, because you've a tip for gold in here, and I quite like a tip for gold. He was 2 lengths off Sounds Victorious in the bumper form that you'd like, and he's beaten.
Yeah. I can't believe it, because he's another runner though, Declan. Is he? Oh no, it's the mayor's bumper.
No, he's another runner making his handicap debut. Not enough experience, I don't think. But a tip for gold. So he was 2 lengths off Sounds Victorious in the bumper. He beat the Thompson Toms in the maiden hurdle. The Thompson Toms we seen flying home after running a big green in a bumper at Fairley House recently. Was keeping on over 2 mile 5 in a listed bumper behind World of Fortunes. Has ran in a handicap. It was a Pretems qualifier. Didn't really jump fluently in that, but you're entitled to do that now in your handicap debut. You know, that's what we discuss on top, is your handicap debut is basically for that. It's learning to jump at that pace. It's his first run for Deco, and look, no disrespect to Max Mullins, but the form Declan Queally is in at the moment, you know, you'd have to give the horse a chance. There is a few others, like Pater Merchant takes me eye, a 6-year-old behind I Am Lorenzo. That was his hurdling debut. A lot of people, is I Am Lorenzo in there?
He beat I Am Lorenzo, didn't he, at Galway?
Yeah, he beat.
He was behind Blue Devassi, then the Yellow Clay, and then.
No, but just saying, is I Am Lorenzo still in the Golden Signet there?
Yeah, he's in the Golden Signet, and the horse that you were talking about there as well, the Declan Queally horse. That was, I think, the one he finished behind. at Limerick. She's in the Golden Signet as well. The what's her name, World of Fortune. So yeah.
I just. But look, it was 13 lengths toward the Blue Devassi Paramerchant was in the for auction. 22 lengths behind the Yellow Clay. Like, it's decent enough form. 15 lengths forward to Old Man Diggle at Christmas Andy when you tipped them up.
Eye catcher that day was as well, to be honest.
Yeah, ran in the novice handicap. I can see the two of them running a big race, Paramerchant and a tip for gold.
Yeah.
One other that needs to mention, because she absolutely loves Leopardstown, is Gay Quill. And she was second to Maxim off 129 last year. Shane O'Callaghan was 10 with 5. She's off 133 here. And Josh Williamson, who's riding out of his skin, by the way, he's been riding really, really well. I wasn't sure about him when he first started riding, but it looks like the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. And she's basically £2 higher. She's still only 7. There still could be some improvement in her. And she loves 3 miles at Leopardstown. Look,
nice.
I'd be more going with the less exposed ones in Paramerchant and the tip for gold to take on Meeting of the Waters, but there is a really good chance the Meeting of the Waters is just too well handicapped here. It's a repeat of Total Recall, and everyone thinks of Willie as a grade 1 trainer, but he's not. He's absolutely brilliant at this. He's brilliant at handicapping horses, and he's so patient. This might have been the plan all along.
Yeah, no, it might have been. They'll probably go here straight to something like the Coral Cup or something, because he's not Pretemps qualified. Like, he was in the Pretemps qualifier at Leopardstown, and they decided to take him out because JP obviously had that poor growth horse. He won the race, didn't he? Win some, lose some, something like that, was it? I can't remember if it was win some, lose some. Might have been a different horse. But yeah, like, he is hard to ignore, Meeting of the Waters, but I can't resist. I'm gonna have to try and take him on. The one I've landed down on, I suppose, first of all, a surprise omission, maybe Park of Kings for Paul Nolan. Hope that horse is okay. This will be like painfully obvious race for him after his excellent run at Leopardstown on the 29th. But the horse I've came down on did run in that race as well. It's another 50-1 shot ridden by Carl Miller. It's Lucky Lyrene. Form that I've always kind of respected. When he beat Kintor Calanisi in a Punchestown maiden, and that's what Deck was talking about earlier, is horses that you think are nice and then they get beat by something. Just keep an eye on them, because Lucky Lyrene went from beating Kintor Calanisi to beating Buchel Bucht in a Ferryhouse Novices handicap hurdle, a race that tends to work out quite well as well. Just forgive him his run behind Maxim, as what we say on this podcast as well. A horse can always run bad at the Punchestown Festival. You just have to put a line through it. He had a quiet return behind Flicker of Hope at Navan, but he was a major eye catcher, in my opinion, behind El Gasparo in that new 100 grand handicap at Leopardstown on the 29th. He was beaten about 12 or 13 lengths, got outpaced just leaving the back straight kind of after the third last. Came home pretty well. Danny Gilligan brought him to the inside rail, and he just kind of plugged on to finish a never nearer 8th, as I said, beating about 12 or 13 lengths. He's off 132. He's still only 7. He's already won over 3 miles, I believe. And the dam is also a relation to Champion Court, who was trained by Martin Coitley, and I believe ran a good few Grand Nationals. So plenty of stamina there. Should be still progressive as a 7-year-old, and was an eye catcher the last day. He's 50-1. I would be very surprised if he was allowed to go off 50-1. I really fancy this, and I'm going to have a good crack at him.
Yeah, and just to say, Andy's talking about this now since last Sunday when me and Anzalam were back in the waterside having a couple of points after an ace. I got the text and I was like, Jesus, I'll have to look at that in the morning, but I've heard it numerous times a day since.
Yeah, it basically saying don't blabber.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, well, it's out in the open now, so back it all you want. And who knows, he could drift back out towards that 50-1, but I think he's a really good value bet. You'll probably get 5 or 6 places. If he bumps into Meeting of the Water, so be it, but you can't be afraid of one horse. So it's Lucky Lyrene for me, and I'm quietly confident he's going to run a big race at a big price. And Deck, you're sticking with Mr. Quealy, is it, or are you going with...
Look, I did back Lucky Lyrene during the week at 50s when you told me to, so I do trust you on this one. These are the weekends when you turn up, but I do think, we're 3 races in now. I cannot have a 5 treble on the Queely horses in the first 3 races. I'm going to do that, right? I wouldn't put anyone off meeting of the waters. I wouldn't try put anyone off. But I do like Patter Merchant and a tip for gold. And I think Way Cool is probably, you know, if you're getting 6 places, a relatively safe each way bet.
She'll find her way into the money, won't she? She always does.
She's ever been out of the places. But no, look, I like the tip for gold and Patter Merchant. Like the more I spoke about them actually there, the more confident I was getting about them. And I was going, nothing beats the favourite. But look, probably will end up taking them on, even if it's a stupid thing to do.
There we are. Look, that's what we're here for. Doing stupid things. You learn from it in the end. Right, on to the Irish Arkle then deck at 255. This is one of the better races of the weekend, in my opinion. 6 getting left in, and fair play to Patrick Neville for bringing along Here Comes Georgie. Great to see. I hope he
we never spoke about we should have been putting George's tip up at the end of
you can read them out. You can read them out at the end. And also, I should have said in the last race, fair play to Henry Daly for bringing over Supreme Gift as well, the top weight in the race, and stay there. Danny Mullins riding. Hope he runs a blinder for the team there as well. So Here Comes Georgie, as I said, brilliant for Patrick Neville. Hopefully he runs a great race. Got a lot to find on the book, but why not have a go? You know, you might know how many times you get a chance to run a horse in the Irish Arkle that, you know, isn't, you know, has some sort of chance, you would have thought. Right, so 6 runners deck. Obviously Masborough, around 6-4, 7-4 on, depending on where you are shopping. Extremely impressive on his chase debut. Touch Me Not in here as well as Janu Lapin, the size of him. Can't wait to see him. And Il Atlantique and Firefox as well, rounding out the sextet. So who do you like here, Dick?
Look, you know my thoughts on last year's Juveniles, Andy, and Masborough was, you know, top of the tree with Sergino. We never got to see them face off, but they both beat Cargis, and you know, he was, what was it? It was his second start for Willie Mullins when he won the Triumph. He wasn't actually a novice last year, Masborough. So
yeah, he won a very early 3-year-old hurdle in France, didn't he? Yeah.
That's how long he's gone. So look, I thought he was awesome on his chase debut. You know, he beat Tully Hill and Asian Master. People are kind of crapping at that form because Mr. Jiff came and picked them up. But we discussed Mr. Gift before that race and we liked him. And his spring form was really, really solid last year. He's only a 6-year-old. Where is he? He's a horse you want to be keeping your eye on. I say
see him at Navan.
Well. Sorry?
You'll see him at Navan.
In that 2-mile race, look, I thought he got a great ride, Mr. Gift, that day, and just came and picked him up. And I was delighted for JJ that day because I thought he outrode Paul Townend after everyone slagging him off, saying he won't be riding Willie's horses, but shouldn't be putting him up in Jasmine DeVoe. Look, I hope Masborough puts on a bit of a show here and he goes and we get to see the clash at Cheltenham and the Arkle. I think the Arkle could be the race of the festival if we get to see him and Sergino sprinkle a few others in there. I think this fella could be special, a bit of a freak. But speaking of freaks, and I do think he'd run a big race, Jean Lapin. I can't wait to see him. You've seen him, Andy. I can't wait to see him.
He's so likable looking. There's not something about him. It's just, I'd say he's just a big gentle giant. He's a lovely horse.
Yeah, but somebody said to me, geez, even his head is massive. You're kind of thinking, well, of course his head is massive. He's huge, like, but it must be monstrous. So I won't start repeating my jokes about Trojan horses and the jockeys jumping out in the grey ring. Look, am I a backer of Masborough? It's not my style to be backing odds on shots, particularly in chases, but I hope he puts on a show, and I hope we get to see a great race at Cheltenham with him and Sergino, and you know, may the best horse win.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a brilliant race personally. You're going to have Touch Me Not, who he's going to try and go fence to fence. Whether he's good enough is another thing. He obviously wouldn't want the ground too soft, but at the Leopardstown chase course, like, it would need a deluge to really, you know, get testing. I don't think it will. You could get soft in the description, but like, it would be.
Look, listen to Larkin Weir today. It's going to be like a road.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be,
Probably
which is going to
fast.
suit Touch Me Not. Like, he might take a bit of pegging back if
Yeah.
if that happens, but it's whether he's good enough to hold up that. And you'd have thought that in Atlantique and Majborough should be comfortable enough traveling behind that pace. Janu Lapan jumped brilliantly for his first attempt at 2 miles. Unsurprisingly, he's by Dr. Dino. Of course, he's going to improve for 2 miles, and that's why he couldn't win a point. And then you've Firefox, who is probably, it's going to be in his interest, you would have thought, to maybe go forward as well. Now, he wasn't, seemed to me he wasn't able to do that in Nice the last day. He was upsides for the first few fences, but he couldn't, he just seemingly struggled to, I don't want to sound like unfair on the horse, but it sounded like he just, or it kind of looked like he just wasn't able to bring Il Atlantique along, or the others. So Il Atlantique is not a slow horse, and I think if he was in any other yard in the world, I think he'd have been campaigned over 2 miles last year. And there's still talk of him possibly skipping Cheltenham to go to Ferryhouse and Aintree. I don't know what more evidence you need that how impressive this horse was starting out at Gowran to what he did last time out at Nice. And I know he started off over 2.5 miles at Navan, but over fences, but that was probably because Willie had so many horses for so many other races. This horse is a crack 2 miler in my opinion. He's a horse I think could go well in the Champion Chase next year. He jumps that well and he travels that strongly. And if I think that, I'm going to have to take Majborough on with him, because I've said
he's quite ground dependent though, isn't he?
He could be, but I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest that just yet, because like where he had that quick round was Punchestown, and you can always forgive a horse that run at Punchestown. And then the other runs like are 2.5 or 2 mile 5 behind Ballyburn, and then 2.5 miles behind Brighter Days Ahead. Like if you want to take it, like being 14 lengths by Brighter Days Ahead over 2.5 miles, which is, in my opinion, is an inadequate trip for Atlantique. I wouldn't back Il Atlantique over 2.5 miles under any circumstances, because his form at 2 miles is going to have him too short a price over 2.5 miles. There will never be an opportunity to back Il Atlantique over 2.5 miles, in my opinion. And with that said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to take on one of the top juveniles from last year, Majborough, with his stablemate Il Atlantique, and with a bit of luck, he runs well enough to justify a crack at the Arkle, because that's his race. And I hope we get a brilliant race now on Saturday. This is probably the race I'm looking forward to the most on Saturday. Thoroughly looking forward to this. So Majborough for yourself, Deck, and Il Atlantique for me.
Yeah, man, but I can see the Trojan horse run a big race. I genuinely can. Like, I'd say, I'd say be quite intimidating. Like, sometimes the horses don't like being in beside bigger horses. Like, he gets on horses being intimidated now. I know he's the only one in the field, but yeah, I'd say the horse has loads of ability.
No, he absolutely does. To win a beginners round Leopardstown is no easy feat, really.
It has to make a difference if you're twice the size of every other horse. It has. If your stride is twice as long, it has to make a difference.
Well, look, what I will say is, anyone that's at the races on Saturday and you go for a few points, or you do whatever you want to do, just get out and just have a look at this horse in the parade ring. He's incredible looking. Like, it's actually kind of defies belief how he's a racehorse. He's that big, and he's massive.
I think the sun's gone in.
Yeah, exactly. He's fab. Yeah, actually, what you could do is, if we have low lying sun, just bring out Janu Lapan, stick him down at the M50. Yeah, block out the sun for us. Right. So the half three is the Irish Gold Cup. Now that we've been given every race a good bit of time here because they deserve it. So if these podcasts are a little bit longer, it's because of the quality, really. 10 runners here. We probably make a bit of time up here, Deck, because we're probably just going to talk about how great Galopin Deschamps is. I've already said this week, he's the best I've seen in the flesh. I don't think it's really even that close. At best, staying chaser. Obviously, I've seen some fantastic 2-milers and hurdlers, but like, this horse is just a pleasure. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him as well. Strut his stuff. Hopefully, go from the front, put on a show, and go win his third Cheltenham Gold Cup. Any chinks in his armour, Deck, or the echo that?
There is little or no chinks in his armour. And he's just better than all these. Like we've discussed it a few times during the week. we're unfortunately we're missing fast or slow because the two have been knocking 7 shades of show you out of each other at every opportunity over different trips. 3 miles, 2.5, 3 miles, 2 furlongs in the Gold Cup, and they're beating each other. This is obviously Galloping's playground, but we're blessed to be living in a time not only where we, look, I suppose we're living in an era now where there's a lot of dodging going on and people are complaining about horses avoiding each other, not running enough. Those two have taken each other on, and fair play to their connections again and again and again. Hard races, many times you think, geez, not going to recover from that, and they just bounce back and they're back to their best. These are 2 phenomenal horses, but look, unfortunately, Fast and Slow isn't here. He was giving us a great race in the John Dorkin. I thought, I actually just thought he blew up that day without race fitness, but he's been out since, so he must have got injured. But Galloping, 2 Gold Cups. He had a hard Gold Cup last year, and that's the end of him. He comes back at Christmas after being beaten in the John Dorkin, and he puts on the show. He's the best horse I've seen in the flesh, also, Andy. And we're looking at 3 Gold Cups now. It's hard to see him not winning 3 Gold Cups. He's that good that he's scaring everyone off. I know they're turning up here, but there'll be a good few of them not trying here. We're missing Jerry Cologne as well. He'll probably have to go with him at Cheltenham, but he's already been kicked aside, and it's very difficult to see him reversing the form. But with the other options we have, Aintree only 3 weeks later, and the Ryanair, it's hard to see a lot of them turning up. Could be looking at a 5-6 runner Gold Cup. People would say, well, what does he be? Well, he's kept
everything.
Anything that was available. He beat them so much, he scared them off. That's what Arkle done. And I hope he does it. I want to see him win 3 Gold Cups. I want to be there to see him win 3 Gold Cups.
Yeah.
And the 4th is a possibility because he doesn't look like slowing down now. Look, I know they're fragile, but this fella's sound. He's been very, very sound his whole career. So, they've been really blessed with him. And touch wood, he stays sound because 4 Gold Cups is a genuine possibility. He'd only be 10 winning the 4th.
That's why age is so important. That's why you get them chasing as quickly as you can.
Yeah, we this fella is generational, and I'd say a lot of us will never see his like again. And you just enjoy him. Get to Leopardstown and see him. Get wherever he goes, go and see him. Get to Cheltenham and see him. Get to Punchestown and see him. This horse has turned up at Punchestown twice after winning the Gold Cup. The connections deserve so much credit, and he's turned up the next season. He is once in a lifetime, in my opinion. Look, he's up there with Kato Star. I'm probably, I'm not forgetting Kato Star, but I never seen Kato Star in the flesh. This fella I have. We would be lucky to see another one in our lifetimes, with Kato Star at Galloping des Champs, and another one. We'd really be blessed, but I'm enjoying living in this fella's world.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoying it myself. Couldn't have said it better. I don't think there's anything that gets within a hair's breadth of him really here. The only thing that you could see, and Willie won't do it, Embassy Gardens clearly thriving when he goes front running, and he'd have the ability to front run here. Not saying he'd have the ability to win, and I actually particularly like the horse, but you have to give credit where it's due, and what he did last time out. But he's not. Him and Galopin des Champs are not going to cut each other's throats. Like if Embassy Gardens was trained by someone else, that's the way into the race where I could see Galopin maybe just getting softened up and something, trying to have a go at him late on, but it's just not going to happen in this particular race. Monty Starr deserves an opportunity here. He's going to get it. If he bombs out, as I was saying last night, if he bombed out with a handicap mark of 153, I think that's a soft mark. And he is in the Grand National. And if they end up avoiding Galopin des Champs, I'd be just wondering if that's in the back of Henry's mind, because that's lenient, in my opinion, anyway, based on what he did last year. But we will have to see. Let's hope Galopin des Champs just, struts his stuff, comes home safely, and goes and tries to win his 3rd Gold Cup. Right deck onto the 405, the Ryanair handicap chase over 2 miles and a furlong. It's not to 150. this is a race in recent years that has often cut up and hasn't been the strongest looking handicap, but we've got 14 this year, and it looks like a decent enough renewal. I have a borderline nap of the weekend in here, but before I share that, who do you like?
Well, we've been talking about him, haven't we?
Yeah, it could be a nap of the tap. It could be nap of the tap material.
Could be nap of the top and nap of the weekend, definitely. It's midnight, it is. They're running on toward the Dan Moore behind the King of PRs. You know, this stiffer test than, you know, the finish at Fairyhouse probably going to help him. And he did get that comment near his finish. Like, he was a definite eye catcher. I was worried all week now with the rain about Captain's Nephew, and his best form is on heavy. And Tiernan Power Roach, actually, you know, our favourite man at the moment, he actually dropped the whip on Captain's Nephew the last day in the Dan Moore, and the ground was probably a bit quick for him. And I just thought, with that rain coming, if it turns up heavy, he could give it a right go here. But the way the ground is going, and we know how fast the chase track can get, I think this is straightforward for midnight. It is. A lot of other people saved it as well because they've mopped up the price. Normally it's us ruining prices, but it's been done to us here. I think it's straightforward, Andy. I will mention Shambally Kid in here. Willie has Mikey O'Sullivan up to do that job he does for him.
He's been well backed as well. He's been well found. First time pieces there too.
Yeah, I know. Look, and he is well handicapped because he was third in the Carlo Cup off 133. He's in here off 125. But surely he wants to go further than this.
You would have thought, because they were trying him behind the likes of Maxim last year, weren't they? In a handicap hurdle. So
like the third in the Carlo Cup, surely he's always wanted further than this, hasn't he?
Yeah, look, he wasn't the best jumpers behind Mr. Giff last time out. Like, it's in a 2 mile handicap chase at this level, they're probably one of the hardest type of races to win on a handicap debut, you would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and the jockey
handicap chase debut, I should say. But
the only thing is though, I don't mind a handicap chase debut if you've ran in a handicap hurdle. If you have handicap experience, it's vital. And we'll get to it on the next show about how important it is. But I don't mind a handicap chase debut. If he ran in a Carlo Cup, he can jump at pace. You know, I know it's fences and it's different, but it's the jockey booking now that is telling me Mikey might be up there to do that thing he does for Willie. You know, when he gets that ride for Willie.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. You getting the who was the horse in the juvenile hurdle last year? I can't remember his name.
Ethical Diamond.
Doing an Ethical Diamond, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I do totally agree. Look, there is a couple of horses in here that could go well. Obviously, Shambally Kid's one of them. First time cheek pieces. I just don't think he's jumped well enough in 3 chase starts, and that's like he's chase marks lower for a reason. Probably also wants a bit further. Don't Go Yet, who we've already talked about for Eddie Colley, 11-year-old now, but we've already mentioned that midnight it is form. He's beaten 5 lengths by him at Navan, and we've talked about how good that Navan form's been working out in recent times. And then on Pion Jarrig, or for our English listeners, the Red Pen.
The Red
Pen. Beating the Folks Tiara in a grandstand finish on Stevens' Day here last year. King of PRs was third that day, beating a hair's breadth as well, and he's obviously gone on and won the Dan Moore. So you can have a look at that form, and you can definitely make a case. But for me, it is midnight. It is as well. I really think this horse only needs to jump around personally. He has been well found in the market. You can still get a bit of 3-1, 7-2. He's the rightful favourite. We already talked about that Navan form, as I said there, with Don't Go Yet. So I still think he covers Don't Go Yet on that form, where he beat Folly Master, or where midnight it is beat Folly Master. Beat Battle of Ridgeway before that, and that was actually last season, last January actually. And then was a real eye-catching third, in my opinion, behind King of PRs. Hard to know whether he would have won, but he would have been finishing on his girth. I think he would have been at least second. I think King of PRs was good value for his win there, though. So yeah, if it's not this race, but given what the market's saying, I think it will be. But if it's not this race, it will be the Grand Annual. and maybe have a look at my mate Mozzie, who's getting ridden by Keith here up the top. He's probably the horse you want for the Grand Annual, if Midnight It is to win here. So, Deck, the final race on the card is the Paddy Power Play Card CNG Flat Race, 2 miles, and this is one of the few bumpers that we're going to have an opinion on. So we've done okay in bumpers in recent times on tap.
Yeah,
we don't pay a whole lot of attention. We've done okay. So the big omission here is going to be Calypso's Chance, isn't it? Obviously, he won the race that like the likes of Sam Crow and Sir Gerhard and then Voyal M won. 2 of which went and I think 2 of which went and won this grade 2 here. So we still have 10 runners. It's a very competitive race, and it's almost Willie Mullinsless. Obviously, we've Green Splendor and Sortudo, but usually Willie shows up here with something that's a shade of odds on, but not this year. Green Splendor looks like he is the favourite nonetheless, but it's 11-4 to field, which is incredibly rare for this race. You don't usually see a field this competitively priced. So 10 runners, Deck, and I know you like one of them, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, it's He Can't Dance for me, and it's one of my stronger bets now of the weekend. He's a point-to-point winner. The second has actually gone and won 3 times in the UK. Won at Doncaster the weekend. He won his bumper easy enough at Navan. Probably the best bumper horse in the country. Hopefully he doesn't go to Cheltenham and wreck himself, and we can enjoy him next year.
Yeah, he's not going to, they won't do that. I'd be kind of surprised if they did.
I thought he might have thrown Calypso Chance in here.
Yeah,
I thought he might have ran them all against each other.
It could be the ground for him. He wouldn't know. But then again, he's ran on that type of ground already, I'm pretty sure, this season. I've one I quite like as well. It's fairly recent form, and I think people are picking up the form book and saying it, but it's I Started a Joke for Charles Burns, son of Soldier of Fortune, 6-year-old. Only won by a nose on his most recent start, beating Road Exile, but I thought Road Exile was quite impressive at Limerick earlier in the week. And they were 11 lengths ahead of an Eric McNamara horse that was really well backed. So I think that Limerick form, which we've always talked about, was the Limerick Maiden Hurdle form, but now it's the Limerick Bumper form.
Just Limerick form in general, I think.
Just Limerick, yeah, what a place. I think that I Started a Joke has a good chance here, to be honest with you. I thought he showed a lot of tenacity, a lot of battling qualities to hold off what looks like an above average horse in Road Exile. They finished ahead of a well-backed favourite, plenty to like, and I think he has a fair chance of going well in the bumper. So that brings us to an Deck of top 90.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to it. Looks like we do have an app at the top.
Yeah, I think, I agree. Yeah, Midnight It is. You go well, you got typing there.
Yeah, he saw me typing, yeah. So nap at the top is Midnight It is. I'm sorry, guys, that it's only the best price of around 7-2. But
look, come here. See, the problem this weekend is, it's so competitive, and there's so much focus on it. People aren't missing these things. No. So there's a lot of eyes on it, whereas we like to spot these things when people are trying to avoid them, when maybe it's not as competitive, and maybe some horses getting ready for another day. But look, I suppose good things are never going to be, you're not going to get great value in every race here, like we do on some other taps. So, suck it up and just back them.
That's it. You're welcome.
Sorry, Andy, go on.
No, I was just saying, I'm also quite keen on, obviously, Lucky Lyrene in the 3-mile handicap hurdle. Look, I'll back everything I've popped up there. Like I am, we put in enough research to obviously Joystick sounds victorious in the opener. Probably leaving the Juvenile hurdle. Il Atlantique is another one that'll be backing, and then obviously the bumper horse is Starting a Joke. So yeah, 30 looking forward to it. What were you about to say there, Deck?
No, just we are going to play a game, aren't we? Because
of course we are. Of course we are. Yeah, go on ahead.
So my young lad has picked out 7 for a Super Hind, so we're going to play Are You Smarter Than a 9-year-old? So we'd like you to send in your Super Hinds, a horse in each race, but I'll give them out to you anyway, so you know what you're competing with. He's gone for Super Sunday, Wendrock, Flicker of Hope, Here Comes Georgie, obviously, Galloping des Champs, he knows his onions, this fella, on Pion Jarek, and he can't dance. So that's what you just have to be. See who makes the most money, and send in. We want to see us competing with him. So we'd love to see your selections in every race as well. We'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so it's us against George, so we will see what happens. Yeah. Thoroughly looking forward to that. Are we smarter than a 9-year-old? Find out on Tap 92. Right, that brings us to an end of Tap 90. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. Hopefully we have a couple of 50-1 winners, as well as a nap at the top midnight it is landing. And best of luck with everyone else's punting. And honestly, do send us your super Heinzes. We want to see if you can beat George.
Yeah, send them in. We want to see them, and we might work something out. We'll have to get to work. We'll work off SPs, obviously, right? Just don't send us prices. Send us in. I'll ignore George's prices, but send them in, and we'll see if we'll see who wins. Anyway, we might, if we've time, Andy, we might get a table up.
We might do it. We'll see what we can do. It's still not a bad idea, actually. All right. Well, just keep liking, sharing, and subscribing until 5 minutes time, and you probably listen to Tap 91. All the best, guys, and bye-bye.
Cheers.